Hello everyone, Linda Israel here, and I have a whole mess of stuff here. I've got a folder or pocket that has a bunch of ephemera, like old postcards and old photos and miscellaneous pieces and bits. And then I have a whole bag full of ribbon pieces that I hadn't filed away. They just got stuck into a Ziploc bag. And then I have some junk mail. So this is an advertisement to come into a casino. This looks like a Chase credit card advertisement. There's some gardening, flower, little book sales flyers. Here's some pages out of a dictionary. Now I did grab a composition book and an adult coloring book. I've got some of my stencils. I've got a Dollar Tree book. And then I have a dictionary back here, as well as some more of my stencils. So what I'm going to do is some mixed media stuff. I'm going to try to pull everything from my little bags of things because I need to use up stuff in my stash. So come along and hopefully you enjoy this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Of course, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and then comment below. You could do it throughout the video or at the end of any questions or comments that you have to make about what I'm doing here today. And I'm going to make a junk journal out of all of this stuff. So I've got a couple of pieces of mail here that I thought, well, I can possibly paint this a little bit, and then I can paint this as well, and maybe attach some paper. And then when I was looking at this ad, hopefully you can see this, it opens up, and then this piece accordion folds out. Now I can't decide if I want to leave this bit like that, or if I want to add another piece of paper to go all the way across the page. I don't know. I'm toying with it. I may leave it as a pocket on both sides. A pocket on this side. I don't know. So I'm going to paint this as well. So you get to see some of my indecisiveness as I'm making something from some junk mail. So I'm just grabbing some acrylic paint. Because this has some dark colors on it, I'm going to try to see what happens if I mix a little bit of black and this white together. I'm probably getting way more than I need, but I'll have it. And then I'm just going to use, I've got some Ken Oliver watercolor mats under here. They're just easy to clean up. And then I've got an old gift card. And then I have just a little tray with the paint. So I'm just going to dip that in there and just smear that on. And then let's see what happens. So that's kind of covering up the images and text on here. So I'm going to set this aside for a moment to dry and do the other elements as well. So I've got a stencil here, and I'm just going to add some white paint. That's one of my stencils that I have in my shop. I've got my lace stencil that I've made and the fold out pieces laying in front of me. So the next thing I'm going to do is I think I want to add some color to this, and I'm going to use greens. No, I'm not going to use greens. I'm going to use pinks and blues. Yeah. So I'm just getting my little palette again. I've just got some craft paint. This happens to be a metallic, and this is just a blue craft paint. I'm just going to do two colors. If you do too much and you really work this, it kind of gets muddy looking. So I'm just going to go with just the two for right now. One thing about doing mixed media like this, if you don't like it, you can paint over it. So let's see what this looks like. So that's kind of messy looking, but it's layers, so I'm just going to keep going, I think. Because it's coming out a little bit thicker than I wanted, I've got a foam brush. So I'm going to try using a foam brush this time and see how that works out. It takes a little bit less paint to put on here, so I'm going to keep doing this. got another stencil that I made. I haven't made this out of plastic yet because this was my prototype, but I've got it made out of cardstock. And so I think now, since this is leaves, I'm going to put some leaves here and there. I'm not going to cover the whole thing, just kind of strategically place them. And I've got some more craft paint here, and some of it's metallic, and then some of it is matte. I'm going to use a foam brush and kind of dab it where I want them. Actually, I may just go all over with this. I'm kind of liking the way this looks. I've placed leaves on all the sides of the papers. And I've got a couple of colors of Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist here. I have Electric Blue and Blarney. And I think I'm just going to spray these without a stencil just to kind of mute the purple or the pink and the blue in the background. Well, I sprayed it with Tattered Angels, and now I've got a few colors of acrylic paint, and I have a rubber stamp. So what I'm going to do is mix a few of these colors over here on my palette, and then stamp this flower over the top of this. So let's see how it turns out. So I've got a foam brush here and a rubber stamp, and I'm just going to dip this into all the different colors of the paint, and then just pat it onto this flower stamp. Now when I'm done, I will make sure to go directly to the sink and wash this stamp. So I'm just going to randomly stamp this on the paper. Alright, so it looks like the lighter pink is probably better than the darker. And I'm just using a foam brush and tapping it on there, making sure I've got a good color coverage. So I've over-stamped off the edge just a little bit and added some flowers to that. And I'm going to let this dry, and I'll work on the other pieces doing the same thing. I'm liking the way this is starting to look. So this is the smaller piece that was a postcard that was bright yellow with black text on top of it. And as you can see, I've done some stenciling and just layers of different mixed media. And the next thing I have is I have some scribble sticks and some distress crayons. And so I'm going to do some highlighting on here. I've not used these before, so I don't know how well they're going to turn out. But let's see what happens when I start playing. I think these aren't transferring that well onto the acrylic paint. It's probably made for a different type of paint. So let me try, that was the media scribble stick. So let me try the distress. Now the distress is creamier. So I think that's what I'm going to use a little bit of, just to deepen these flower petals. I don't know that that makes a big difference. What do you think? I guess it did bring in a different shade of pink over here, so maybe I'll continue on. I think I'm not going to use the scribble sticks though, because on this media they're not working that well. I've got some acrylic paint here, and I think what I'm going to do next is I want some yellow in the centers. So I'm just putting a little bit of yellow in my palette, and I have a pencil eraser because I like that size. Now let me see what happens. I'm just going to pick up some paint and just kind of make dots where the flower centers are. I think that kind of adds another dimension, don't you? I'm going to do that to all the pieces. I've got a few pens here. I've got a white oil-based Sharpie, a black Sharpie, and then I have a Faber-Castell Pitt pen is what I have here. So basically now what I'm going to do is just go in and just kind of doodle around these flowers. And I know this is a background, but I'm also just kind of playing, and I'm also showing you that you can take junk mail and look at this. It looks like it's a scrapbook paper of some kind. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. A little bit of paint, maybe. The rubber stamp. If you don't have a rubber stamp, you could cut a piece of fun foam in a flower shape and mount it to a piece of something, a wood block, and stamp it. Because basically there's not a whole lot of detail here, so it's okay that if it was just a foam shape. I used a pencil eraser for the dot. So now I'm just going to go in. You do have to prime the oil pen, so I've primed it, and it's not super bright, but I think it might have enough that if I go in here and add some doodles, it might help define these flowers just a little bit. Okay, so this white pen is not working the way that I think it should. So I'm going to just get some white acrylic paint and a paintbrush, and I'm going to just outline and mark where I want, and let's see how this turns out. This may be better. So I'm going to work on this, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like after I've done all the white. So I've got my pen out here, and I'm just going to go around and kind of add a little more with the black and see how this works out. Hopefully this pen won't clog up on me before I get done. Well, that's what one side looks like with the black around it. I'll zoom in so you kind of see that. I'm going to go ahead and do all the sides, and I'll be back when I'm done. Alright, so I think I've done all the mixed media that I plan to do on the pieces. So this piece is going to be my cover, and this is going to be a piece that will attach to the back page, and I'll be able to pull out, and it will have journaling spots. And then this I think I'm going to turn into, I don't know, I may turn it into a smaller journal to fit in a pocket. I think that's maybe where I'm going. The next thing that I want to do is I'm trying to decide how I want to attach this. And I think I'm going to attach it with, I may sew it onto the, what I call the cover. And then I may, before I do that, I've found some watercolor paper in my stash. And I thought that if I attach this onto here and leave a room for pockets, that would be kind of cute for journaling. Yes, it kind of covers up what I've created, but I just wanted it as a background anyway. I probably didn't need to spend as much time as I did, but I enjoyed doing it. So now I'm going to use some distress ink and go around the edges of multiple pieces of this watercolor paper. I've even got a square one to go in the smaller space. And then the next thing I'm going to do is go over to my sewing machine and put a zigzag stitch around the outside edge. While I was sewing around the watercolor paper, I went ahead and decided to sew around what would be my cover piece. So this is going to be the inside and this is going to be the outside. I went ahead and cut a piece of watercolor paper that I think will fit right here as a pocket. So I'm going to glue that down by putting Aleene's tacky glue on the back side. Just like this. Just a little bit around the three sides, leaving one side open for a pocket. So I'm going to set that aside, let it dry. Now that I've got all of these sewn, I'm going to center each one and adhere it down. Again, I think I want to have pockets, so I'm going to leave one side open and just adhere on three sides, just with Aleene's tacky glue again. Okay, after messing around with this a little bit, it's a little bit too wide if I'm going to close this, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on my paper trimmer and trim down the sides. Okay, now that I've trimmed down the sides, that fits a lot better. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine. I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to stitch right down here, and then that will allow this to move kind of hinged in this journal. That's my theory anyway. So we'll see how that works. I'll be back after it's sewn. I sewed this piece on just using a straight stitch. So we open this up. You'll see where I stitched it right across there. See it on the back. Apparently I need to change the tension on my machine because it's a little wonky, but I don't care. It's okay. It's just a journal. So here is my journal cover so far. And then the smaller piece I had said that I want to make into a journal, and I went ahead and zigzag stitched all the way around, so we got a nice pattern there. And then I just grabbed some papers. Basically it's about 5 inches tall by about 10.5 inches long were the pages, and so I just grabbed a few pages here that are a coloring book page, a notebook page that I cut, another coloring book page, another notebook page, a pocket page. So I'm just going to line these up so that they are centered with each other. And then I'm going to take this whole thing over to my sewing machine and just do a straight stitch down the center and sew these together. And here is my little journal that I made that's got a few pages in it and some pockets. I haven't put any tags or anything inside, and I may not. I may leave it. I haven't decided yet. But that's the way this looks, and it will fit right here inside this pocket. And then here is my little journal. So basically, we used junk mail, and I painted it different colors of paint, mixed media, Tattered Angels, Glimmer Mist, marked on it, did some sewing. On the inside, I have a little pocket. This has watercolor paper, so it can be written upon here or add photos. And then we have a little journal that you can add something to the inside or even to the cover. There are pages to write in, pockets to put things. And then on this side, you can write here. There's also a pocket on each one of these, so you can put something inside each one of those. This is left open, so maybe if you have a photo or something you want to put there. Then this has a pocket, and it flips up, so you can write or put photos here. There's another pocket here. And if you flip this all the way, you have the back page as well. And then here is what it looks like on the back side. I think I'm going to sew this again, but otherwise I believe I am done with this journal. I hope you liked it. If you do, as I've said at the beginning, like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel. And of course, you know, if you have ideas, give me some ideas. What you want to see next. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Check the description box for links to my shop where this will be for sale, as well as links to the products that I use, the Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, and my stencils in my shop as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a fabulous day. Bye.